Hi there and welcome to my channel. My name's Ebony, and if you haven't seen my face before, welcome. Thank you for joining me here on my YouTube channel. Today I am going to be talking about my experiences growing up as a mixed race female here in the UK. I am from London, and with everything that's going on at the minute, it's had me reflecting quite a lot, and I've written, got my laptop here, I've written a few of my thoughts down and I thought it would be relevant to share. So this video is going to be a bit of a story time and a bit of a discussion, I guess, that I'm happy to have in the comments as well, and it's just going to be about my experiences. I have lived in London for most of my life. I have been very lucky and fortunate enough to be able to travel quite a bit, so I've been all around the world, but mainly I've been based in London. I feel that there's still a stigma attached to the idea of racism and being black here in the UK in comparison to America. I think it's quite a presumptuous statement to make that things are not as bad here. It's something that I hear very often, and I hope that this video sheds some light on that statement. I'm not gonna flat out say that that is an untrue statement, but I would say that people would be surprised to hear the experiences of black people here in the UK. Now, I can't speak for all black experiences in the UK as I am mixed race, and I understand that I have a privilege. I am of a lighter skin tone, and that is something we call colorism, and so I'm very aware that I cannot speak for the experiences of everyone. I'm here just to speak about my experiences, and even within being mixed race, there are a load of things that would shape a person's experiences, from your parents. For example, I grew up in a single parent household with a black British mother. I don't know my white side, I don't have any contact with any of that family, so that is how I've grown up. I also went to many different types of schools, from a really posh fancy private school here in London, and that was 1 year, and then the next year I was at a comprehensive state school in London as well. And then I was off to boarding school for 3 years in one of the most expensive, richest areas of London. And then from there I went, that was in North London, from there I went completely south of the river to the South London to a place called Croydon, which is known to be very polar opposite to somewhere like Hampstead, which is where my boarding school was. And in Croydon I went to a really diverse, really inclusive, amazing, free performing arts school, and those experiences have all shaped who I am. The people I met along that journey and the things I learned and the things I learned about myself have all shaped me to be who I am, and that experience would be extremely difficult to find a duplicate of for a mixed race person in London or the UK. So my earliest memories of racism were, actually, they only recently came back to me. I'm gonna admit that. They only recently came back to me, and that was triggered by everything we're seeing on social media at the minute with the hashtag Black Lives Matter movement, which is a really important movement that I will talk about later on in this video. But that triggered me, and it triggered a memory that I'd forgotten about, and that was the many occasions where I would hear a comment when I would be with my mum out and about and we'd meet other children. It would mainly be children, but I did hear it from adults, and it stuck with me because I can remember it today, all these years later. And it was, "Is that your daughter? She doesn't look like you." And I'm going to put a picture here of me and my lovely mother. Yes, so that's my family, and you can see me. I'll make it clear on the screen where I am, and my mum. So she is black, British, Jamaican woman, and I didn't look like her. I didn't look like, well, my facial features still do, but my skin tone is very different to her, and I don't necessarily look like the stereotypical mixed race person who is half black, half white. Some people might think that I'm a quarter black, or not really sure. I get that a lot. I get the, what are you? Where are you from? And so that was a comment I heard a lot growing up, and it alienated me a little bit, and I think I haven't really delved into how it affected me and how I saw my mum, how I saw me, and yeah, that's my earliest memory of racism, is a lot of where is she from, who are you her real mum, is she adopted? And I remember my mum's response was always comical. It was always, if someone said, is that your daughter? She'd go, no, it's my grandma. And I remember that. I think it was kind of her diffusing the situation, but I think it stuck with me. Then I grew up and I hit the age of about 10, 9, even 8. 8, 9, 10 kind of age, and I was at this private school where they taught us Latin, and we had a swimming pool and we had tennis courts and a massive field, and I was on a scholarship there. And I remember really liking a lot of similar things to the kids around me, but I also remember liking things that weren't similar. So a lot of people were at the time loving Harry Potter and Avril Lavigne and things like that, and I loved Harry Potter. But I also had another love, which was S Club 7 and S Club Juniors, and I remember being really harshly bullied for that. I was also really bullied for my like of horses. I befriended another girl in my school who had a horse herself, and she loved horses. It was that kind of school, guys, I'm sorry. It was that kind of school, and I loved horses. I didn't have a horse, I've never had a horse, but I loved them, and I was bullied for liking them as well. And that kind of continued as I grew up, and I became the ages of 12, 13, 14, and a lot of my peers who were black liked a lot of kind of black based music, black artists and things like that, and I just loved S Club 7, I loved the Spice Girls. I liked what I liked, and I was unapologetic. I didn't have any siblings to really tell me what was cool, and so I was shunned a lot from black communities for not being black enough. And I'll really remember that. Because I went to that private school, I had an accent, which you might be able to hear now, but this accent is kind of a progression of being an actor. You kind of have quite a neutral RP kind of voice. But I remember going straight from that private school into a comprehensive state school and being bullied for my accent and being too posh. I got accused of thinking I was white. I got kind of a lot of abuse, and it was at that same school that a group of girls who I think meant well, they kind of took me under their wing because I was being bullied and I would be eating lunch alone. They took me under their wing and they told me they were going to give me a makeover and they were going to make me more black. And so so my hair at the time, I don't even remember how I wore it. I don't even know if I have any pictures. If I have pictures, I'll put them on the screen. But they kind of got my hair, they kind of cane-roamed it in a kind of black hairstyle and slicked it, and kind of just told me how to act, and you know, they tried to kind of mould me into their idea of what I should be and who I should be. And at the time I went along with it. And I thought it would make me more popular and more likeable, and actually it did for a little bit, and my personality never changed. It was more about my looks, and I remember I fancied this guy in the school as well, and they were like, we're going to do this and you're going to impress him, and you know, it was like what their idea of who I should be, that's what they wanted to make me. Yeah, that was that era. And then as I got even older, and I started going to university or drama school, I at this point straightened my hair a lot. I straightened my hair, I didn't wear my hair curly. I think I started straightening my hair from boarding schools, so because I remember who taught me how to straighten my hair, and she bought me straighteners for a birthday present, and I started straightening it then, and I didn't really stop. So that was age 16. I didn't really stop until I was out of drama school, and it was so I think I was about 23. So from the ages of 16 to 23, I think I straightened my hair that whole time. My hair was falling out, I was wearing hair extensions, I dyed my hair, yeah, I didn't like my hair. I didn't even know I had curls. I didn't even know my hair could look like this. And yes, so I remember when I wanted to kind of get my hair cut, it would be a curly hair specialist I needed to go to. So in terms of racism, a white person can go into any hairdresser and get their hair cut. Pretty much. I think 99.999% of the time, a white person can go to any hairdresser and get their hair cut. It's not the same for people with afro hair or curly hair. I had to seek out curly hair specialists, and I made many mistakes along the way of going to people who didn't know what they were doing, who would straighten my hair and then cut it and cut too much off. And I had many different hairstyles, many different lengths. I was here at one point, this is the longest my hair's ever been, and that's because I've started to go to curly hair specialists. But with that comes a price, and it means that I pay a lot more for a haircut than anyone else would normally, just going to like a regular hairdresser where you could just get a quick cut and leave. It means that you're spending a lot more time there, which is fine, but it means also spending between £80 and £120 for a haircut, for a good haircut, and it's worth it. But I just wish that more hairdressers and training places would make curly haircuts a mandatory part of their training, so that there were more curly hair specialists across the UK and I guess the world. So with that, I recently, actually last year, decided to make a short film about this experience, and it's called Mixed Roots, and I'll shamelessly link it and plug it up here. I'm really proud of that film. That goes more into that story, so if you want to see more, you can click there. And then something that's kind of always been around, and since I've been teenager-ish, I'd guess, is the fetishization. I can never say that word. Fetishization. I'm not sure how to say it. Of mixed race women by men. And where I live, I grew up in southeast London. There's a really high population of black and ethnic minorities, and I noticed that a lot of the time the people who would catcall me or approach me and call me things like lighty were men from a black background. And I don't know if this is talked about enough, and it's not all men, it's not all black men, of course it isn't. It's just what I experienced where I live, and in the neighbourhood I live in. And it is a hard pill to swallow when you're kind of seen as a race, and you're seen for your curly hair, and you're desired because of a race, because of your race, and fetishized. And I think it happens a lot in TV, film, media. I did my dissertation at drama school was all about the male gaze, and one of the elements of my dissertation was the idea of people of ethnic minorities being glamorized because of their race by the media. And yeah, it's not a nice feeling, and it feels like a label is being put on you, and it feels like it's something that you can't really escape because it's just what you look like. And it can sometimes be aggressive, the way that men can approach women. Yeah, and that is kind of like a branch of colorism within black communities. It's awful. The idea that a lighter skin tone is more desirable than a darker skin tone. And then we move to today. Today, the reason I'm making this video, amongst all other kind of reasons, that I probably should have made this video a lot sooner, and it's something that I've thought about a lot. But what's really sparked me is the support that I'm receiving online at the minute, and that a lot of black people, the thing that has given me the empowerment to make this video is through the sheer amount of support that I have, and I've seen other black creators have received online recently about the Black Lives Matter movement, and how our voices are finally being heard. And if now is the time that people are willing to listen, then I want them to listen, and I want to provide something for them to listen to. So that's why I'm making this video. It's really, really important that you stay informed and up to date on what's going on at the moment in the world, and not only the things that are happening live, but the reasons that they're happening. So having a look at why the protests are happening at the moment all over the world, and have a look at what you can do to make sure that you are on the right side of history, on the right side of what's going on. So if you're white, that includes kind of keeping up to date and educating yourself, making sure that you don't hold a bias, understanding your white privilege. That, in a nutshell. I really hope that I feel inspired to sit down and write something. I have a blog alongside my YouTube channel, and I really hope that I can sit down and really write something that's poignant and relevant and informative, because I think it's a lot easier to speak to the camera at this point. But now I've done this, I feel like all my points are kind of in my head and I can, you know, let that out on paper a little bit. But if you did get this far, thank you so much for watching. I know that this was very different to my regular content. If you're new, I really hope that you have a look through my videos, have a look at the content I make, and decide if you want to subscribe. Please leave this video a thumbs up and let me know down in the comments kind of how you're feeling at the minute, what's going through your mind. Let's have a conversation, and I'll also leave in the description links to lots of different places that you can support, to donate, to educate yourself. Just have a look in the description, I'll label everything. And follow me on Instagram, that's where I've been the most vocal recently. I've got a story highlight up where you can check out everything that's gone on longer than 24 hours ago, and follow me for more. Thank you so much again, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!